In the first video regarding market data, we looked at the data needed in order to build up the supply curve. In this video, we will look at the data needed in order to build up the demand curve.
The learning objectives they are: you must know how to find electricity consumption data for the EU countries. You must also know how to estimate the electricity consumption in countries where you do not have access to data, but where you know the production system. And you must also know how to forecast electricity consumption. The content of this video is that I will show you how you can get consumption data from the ENTSO-E. I will show you how to estimate maximum consumption in areas where you don't have consumption data, but where you have data for the production system. And then I will also show you how to make an approximation of the annual increase in maximum electricity consumption capacity. The task here is to set up the demand curve that you need to have when you're doing market analysis. And the data that is important in order to set up the demand curve is the following here. You have to know the maximum capacities of different types of electricity consumption. You have the traditional electricity consumption, which is price independent, and the consumption that is price dependent. And this traditional electricity consumption is the consumption in households and in industry, but it is not the consumption that will come from electric cars and power to X units or new types of electricity consumption. So you also need to know the maximum capacity of electricity used in electric cars here and in power to X, where you use electricity in order to produce hydrogen, and in all the new types of consumption. You need to know the maximum capacity, but you also need to know the yearly consumption of the various types here of consumption. And you also need to know the profiles of these different consumptions here, and the price elasticity of the price dependent consumption here. In the power market simulator, we are using the maximum capacity of different types of electricity. We're not differentiating between price dependent and price independent, because we consider all electricity consumption as price independent, and we are not taking into account electricity consumed in the electric cars and power to X. And we also focus on the hourly profile of the electricity consumption in this one category. We only have one category of consumption. And how you can get access to these hourly profiles of consumption is that you need to go to the ENTSO-E transparency platform here and click on the load here, and then you, for each area, price area in the EU, you can get these hourly profiles. So here, if you click at the DK1, for instance, here, and you say that you want to have the profile in year 2021, then you can click here on export data, and then you can get the yearly profile, hourly profile on a yearly basis in, for instance, an Excel sheet here. I've done that here, and here is the result here. And what you then have to do here is to take a copy of these 8,660 values here and place these values in your own Excel sheet. This is done here for all the price areas in the EU. So now we have the maximum demand here in, for instance, here in DK1. This is the maximum demand here, the minimum demand. This is the year we have the data from, and this here is the profile. When the value here is 1, this is the hour where we have the maximum demand of 4,115 megawatt. In the power market simulator, the user can define which hour the user wants to make a market analysis for, and the price area that should be included in the market analysis. Here you choose the season, you choose the day type, is it a work day or a Saturday or Sunday, and you will also choose the hour you want to do the calculation. And when the user set up an hour here and a season, then the data will be collected here from the database I showed you in the previous slide. We say that we defined here that if it is a winter season here, we take the data from the hourly profile here from the NCOE for this specific week here. If it is a spring, it is this specific week. We take the data from the NCOE database. If it is summer, it is this specific week, and if it is fall, it is this specific week. So this here is in fact the profile values for a Monday in the Monday in this week here, for the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. And then we calculate an average value here for the workday, if you set up that it is a workday, and for the Saturday and Sunday. And these values, they are of course dependent on the price areas we are focusing on. If you, for instance, want to make a market analysis for a country where you don't know the demand, the yearly maximum demand, but you have data for production units, you have bought these from Enerdata or from Platts, then you can make an estimate of the demand. And this estimate is based on the fact that you say here that normally, in order to have a well-functioning electricity system, you need 20% of reserve capacity in the system. So you say, okay, we know here the total amount of capacity, production capacity here, it could be taken from Enerdata, and then we don't know the maximum yearly demand. Then we say that the yearly demand here is the total capacity multiplied with 0.8, because we assume that there are 20% reserve margin in the system. So this is a way in order to get an estimate of the total the maximum yearly demand capacity. If you want to have profiles for countries outside the EU, then you can, as a first estimate, you can say that the production profiles, they are similar to a different one specific country in the EU. In the power market simulator, we have made the assumption that for all the countries outside the EU, we will use the demand curve for Germany, Luxembourg as a default value of the demand. But if you have better data for a country, then of course you can include these data in the power market simulator. When you need to have data for projections of future maximum consumption capacities, I think the best thing you can do is to look at some official scenarios done by other organizations. It could be the International Energy Agency, it could be the World Bank. They do scenarios, and then you could take the maximum capacities in different price areas from these scenarios. But you can also make a qualified guess yourself. In the power market simulator, we have as a default value set an increase of 1% per year in the maximum electricity consumption. But of course you can change these values for each price area here, and here then you can set your own estimate of the increase in consumption. This is the end of the video where I have explained you how to get access to demand data. And these demand data, you need these demand data in order to set up the demand curve. In the previous video I showed you how to get the data, production data, in order to set up the supply curve. Now you know how to set up the demand curve. So in the next and last video I will show you how to also get data from the transmission capacities between different price areas, and also how you can get access to economical data. See you there.